Hey guys. Hello. I need to back this up a little bit. I feel like I'm in your face, your guys' face. Can you guys hear me okay? I have my air going because it's so hot, guys. I'm good, Allie. How are you? Hello, hello. Hey. Hello, Diane. Hey, guys. How is everybody? Hello, Mommy. How are you? Guys, I'm good. I know I haven't been on. Hello, Sarah from the UK. Hello, hello. Am I echoing? Thank you. It's just a little bodysuit. Yes, I finally am able to go live, guys. Am I echoing really? Should I come out and come back? I'm good. I'm okay. All right. Yes, I was able to go live again, guys, on the 18th or the 19th, but I ended up going on, a little vacation with the kids. And so we went up to the mountains and had a great old family time. So I've been off quite a bit, just trying to be with the kids and doing the thing. So I'm back now. Thank you, Historic. Nice to see you guys. Thank you guys so much for the heart me's. Guys, I really do appreciate the heart me's. Thank you so much for them. And do me a favor, guys. The only thing I ask is that you tap the hell out of my face. Let's get this live out on the FYP. I really do appreciate it so much. But guys, so thank you, Diane. Thank you, thank you, thank you. No, I did not, Hell's Bells. Aw, Tracy, I missed you guys too. I know. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Frenchie Mom, for the follow. I appreciate it. Yes, guys, can we please share the live out? People are still complaining they're not being notified. So if you guys can share this live out, I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Hollow Mom. I see you. How are you guys? I'm good, Jade. How are you? Hey, Jazz. I don't know what the Amy story is, but I will definitely look into it. Thank you guys for sharing out the live. I appreciate you. Hello, a whole bunch of words I can't understand. Hey, Say No, how are you? Hello, super cute. How are you? I'm good, guys. I just came back from a little mini 4-day vacation with the kids. We ended up going up to the mountains and doing some fishing and swimming and, up to the cottage, did all the things. And took a nice little break. Thank you, Amber. I appreciate you. Thank you, guys. So yeah, I'm back now. I will continue to be going live, guys. I will do all of the things. Hey, Danny, how are you? Thank you guys for the heart me's. I appreciate them so, so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, hey, Amber, how are you doing? So, guys, I wanted to bring up Stefan Sterns in the Madeline Soto case. So, you guys saw that he had his plea. Did I say goodbye to Gypsy content? Super cute. That's a good question. Hey, Nelly Belly. So, not totally. I'm not giving up on Gypsy totally. However, I feel like at this point, I'm just beating a dead horse. I've gone through the entire case. I've done all of the things. If new things come out, I will absolutely talk about them. Today just happened to be a Madeline Soto case because Stefan Sterns went and decided to take a plea deal. And so that's why I wanted to talk about that. There's going to be things to speak about when it comes to Gypsy Rose and Nick Godejohn. However, that's not going to be my main focus. Speak about when it comes to Gypsy Rose and Nick Godejohn. However, that's not going to be my main focus just because I have done a lot of the content, guys. I have, went hardcore down the whole rabbit hole with you guys. I have looked into the case. We've gone over the case. And so I feel like at this point for me to just repeat what I've done is just repeating the content for you guys. And that's not really fair for you guys because you've seen it all from me. And so until there's something new to speak about, I will be speaking about other cases like I did before. And so Gypsy Rose is not going to be my main content, because at this point, I mean, so, yep, we're going to be bringing up different content, topics and stuff like that. Yeah, Shell Bell, I feel like right now we're all beating a dead horse. So until something new comes up, maybe a new FOIA, maybe some new something, there's really not much to talk about right now other than the fact that she's off social media again and she'll be back on in a week, even though she says she's done for good. So, you know, that's really not that interesting to me. And so, you know what I mean? Like, there are other cases out there, other people that need justice, just like, I mean, first of all, Madeline Soto. Stefan Sterns went and he decided to plead out. Stefan Sterns went and he decided to plead out today. I don't know if you guys all saw that, but y'all, it made me, the emotion that I had watching it, because number one, he pled no contest to the murder of Madeline Soto, which I will look into the Amy Bradley story, Hell's Bells, and Crystal. A couple of you are bringing that up to me. I don't know the case, but since you brought it up to me, I absolutely will look into that today. But as far as the Madeline Soto case, guys, he pled no contest to that today. But as far as the Madeline Soto case, guys, he pled no contest to the murder of Madeline Soto. He pled guilty to all of the other charges. There was a bunch of them, guys. And it made me, am I glitching? No accountability was taken for what happened to Maddie. No, absolutely not. Thank you guys for the heart me's. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. There's a lag on this. Am I lagging? Yes. Should I come out and come back in? Or are we reporting me? Because that wouldn't be new. I mean, for Christ's sake. Thank you guys. Did that just say help me ASAP? That's so funny. It's glitching. All right, guys. I'm going to come back out and come back in. You know that they're reporting me. Man, I can't even talk about... You don't have a lag? All right, guys. Put a 1 in the chat if I'm lagging and you need me to come back out. Tracy, who you telling? Man, I could say, hey, and it's like, report, report, report. I'm good now? All right. Maybe they took a break. Y'all, I just said hi. I'm just saying. I'm lagging. You're not lagging anymore. I'm lagging. The little dots are doing the thing. Thank you guys for the heart me's. All right, well, I'm not lagging anymore. Okay, good, because, man, I say hello, and it's like, whoa, Ivory's on, get her out, get her down. Man, it's wild. But, yeah, I don't know if you guys watched the fact that he took the plea deal. Stefan Sterns pled no contest to the murder of Madeline Soto. Stefan Sterns pled guilty to all of the sexual charges that they had. And then he spoke on her. Did you guys see what he was saying about her? Guys, it made me so angry because he's talking about, I wish God would have taken me instead of you, and, you know, what a joy she brought to my life. And I'm like, joy? Like, you sexually abused the girl for years. Joy? Like, the fact that it was so much of like, you know, oh, I'm missing her too, and I'm always going to remember her. And guys, it's so yes, I just did a video on it. If you guys did not see him talking about it, I do have a video up where he speaks about Madeline Soto. Trigger warning though, it's going to make you seriously angry because it made me so mad when I watched it. It really did. He did not mention anything about murdering her. He did not plead guilty to the murder. all he did was he pled no contest, which means that he's not saying that he actually did it. He just understands that there's enough evidence to prove that he did it. And so he's not saying he's guilty or not. He's just saying, I surrender to the charges. And then you had the victim statements. Man, I was in tears crying, guys. I was so freaking upset. The aunt spoke, family members, friends all spoke on her behalf. Her father, her biological father spoke. But you know who didn't show up? Do you know who didn't speak on Madeline's behalf? Her mother. Where was her mother? How dare her mother not go there and speak? But I feel like the fact that Jennifer wasn't there and didn't speak about it said so much. It said so freaking much. It just shows how involved I believe she really is in this entire case. Now, as thank you so much, thank you guys. She is just as guilty, Carrie Lou. I completely agree with you. If not more so, because she literally handed this young girl over to him on a silver platter. And thank you, NPR, for the follow. I appreciate you. It's just so absolutely sad that she has not been charged yet. However, everybody keeps saying that Jennifer Soto has immunity. And I need people to understand, Jennifer Soto does not have full immunity. Thank you. She does not have full immunity. She was covered with derivative immunity. And as far as my understanding of what derivative immunity is that she cannot be held guilty or charged for her testimony against Stefan Sterns had it had taken place. However, I am not sure if the derivative immunity covers her interview with her that law enforcement had. I don't know if it covers their interview where she gave all that information that they were going to had. I don't know if it covers their interview where she gave all that information that they were going to use in the testimony. So somebody who knows a little bit more about what derivative immunity is, you know what I mean, may want to educate a little bit, because when I looked it up, it kind of didn't give a clear understanding. It just said for the testimony. So I don't know if they can use her interview against her. However, I do know that all of the other evidence collected against her can be used. And I'm also not sure if the fact that there is no trial now and she doesn't need to testify, if that immunity is wiped away, can they now pick her up and charge her? Because I'm telling you, there's no way, guys, law enforcement is allowing this woman to walk free. She is a predator, absolutely 100%. There's no way that they can just let her go. What she did was child endangerment, sexual assault. I mean, let's be real. She was pretty much the pimp for her daughter, right? So there's no way law enforcement is just going to let her walk away. And again, my understanding of the derivative immunity, I didn't go to law school. I can only see what they define it as, but it doesn't really give a clear picture. So I'm not really sure how that's going to play out. However, I do feel that now that Stefan Sterns has taken the plea deal, she's going to be charged. She has to be. There's no way they are not going to charge her. The word is that she's in a mental hospital, and if so, hold on. And if so, they may be waiting until she's released. Yeah, they definitely don't want to charge her while she's in a mental institute or hospital, because, well, of course she's going to plead insanity, right? Or mentally. But I do believe that law enforcement is going to absolutely charge her. They have to. You can't just let this woman walk away from this clean. Like, there's no way. And then somebody said that she was at the courthouse today. I did not see her. I did not see her, Diane, you just said it. I did not see her in the courthouse. I did not see her in the room, the courtroom. But it doesn't mean she wasn't there. However, she didn't speak. And her silence screamed loud. She wasn't per jail. Right. Well, if she is in some kind of mental hospital, that would explain why she wasn't there. However, there was no statement done. There was nothing. She wasn't in the courtroom, but she was in the building. That I have no idea. I can't speak intelligently on whether or not she was in the building until I have no idea. I can't speak intelligently on whether or not she was in the building until I see something to prove that. However, the fact that she did not speak got me so angry. Here this man is, he abused your child for years and then murdered her, and you have nothing to say? That's what you heard on TV? It's possible. It's definitely possible. I'm just not sure. Either way, if she was there and didn't speak, that makes it that much worse, in my opinion. The fact that you were there and had nothing to say, that just shows guilt. In my opinion, it just shows that she is absolutely guilty. She absolutely knew, Shelley. She knew what was going on. First of all, she admitted to sending her child to sleep in the same room with her boyfriend. That right there, you're guilty of something. I don't know the exact charges, but whether it's neglect or child endangerment or any of that, you are absolutely guilty of something by sending a young child to sleep with your boyfriend in a room. In a room, mind you, that had bolts and locks and all of it. Okay? That's wild to me. That right there shows guilt. Okay? Then you have the fact that Jennifer Soto monitored her menstrual cycle. Right? She monitored her on an app when she was supposed to get her period, really closely, mind you. Why can't the girl monitor that for herself? Why did her mother have to monitor that? That right there is wild. And the fact that she missed her period in February, the mother knew she missed her period in February, then all of a sudden there's the question, could she be pregnant? Because mom knew, in my opinion, what was going on, right? The pregnancy test, right. So if she was pregnant, they couldn't have that. And so I really believe that Jennifer Soto was involved in the murder, or at least knew about it, and condoned it right along with Stefan Sterns. There's no way you didn't know. Absolutely no way. Super cute. It is so sickening. It really is. I don't even do that for myself. I'm shocked my girls do it. Different generation. I agree, Lala. I don't really track mine. I don't really have much reason to track mine anymore. However, I was never a tracker. I just kind of knew when to expect it. My children, however, do track theirs. But I would never track my child's. They know when they didn't get it, or, you know what I mean? Like, why would I track my child's? That right there is just wild to me, and just shows the fact that she ends up dead after she would have been pregnant with her missed period. And then there's the text, the evidence, had there been a trial, would have been so damning. The only reason he pled out was because they were seeking the death penalty. And in my opinion, they would have gotten it. And I don't know how I feel about the death penalty in this case. I feel like for me, I'd much rather have him alive and in prison as a child molester and a child murderer than just let him get away scot-free and give him the chair. You know what I mean? Or the death penalty. I feel like I'd much rather him alive in prison for as long. I hope he lives. I agree with the people who stated that in the victim statements. I hope he lives. I hope he lives a very long, healthy life in prison. And I think that whatever he gets in prison justice, Nelly Belly, absolutely. Whatever he gets, he absolutely deserves. maybe he'll learn exactly what he put Madeline through. And that, to me, is justice. It is what it is. They absolutely will, Shell Bell. They will get him. Absolutely, Christy. I mean, I've never been to prison, but I heard they don't take too kindly to child molesters. I'm just saying. So, I'm sure that he's about to learn what he did. You know, they will absolutely get him. But now, I hope she's not in a mental hospital, Jennifer. Because I really want someone, now that he's pled out, I want them to go pick her up right now and charge her. Because that, and don't let that one plea out. I want to see a trial with that one. I want to see all of it. It's not as true as they say. People want out, so won't risk it. Mama to be, that might be a possibility. Honestly, I've never been to prison. I could just go by the stories I've heard. But yes, there's no way that law enforcement is not going to charge her as well. I just feel like, come on, guys. There's absolutely no way. So someone go pick her up now, because I'm ready for it. And I want to see the fake tears, the lies, all of it. Because if you watch her interview with tears, the lies, all of it. Because if you watch her interview with law enforcement, guys, the detective was getting so angry. Hey, spoiled. He was getting so angry just speaking with her. Hey, spoiled. He was getting so angry just speaking with her. The mother needs to be in the same place. She knew what was happening. Absolutely. Absolutely. Where? Yeah, the case is a big one. You can watch it on YouTube. A lot of YouTube content creators have a lot of really good information out about it. And he just had his plea sentence today. His plea and sentencing. The fact that they allowed him the no contest is wild to me. Because I want to hear him say, I did it, but he won't. And he didn't admit to, like during his little spiel, he did not admit to killing her. Which I think, because technically it's a guilty plea. Like, technically it's a guilt charge, a charge of guilt for murder. Even though he didn't admit it, I feel like he should have had to admit it. Does that make sense? I'm probably getting reported, y'all. They report me for everything. Even if it's not about Gypsy Rose, it's wild. That's the, there's that. I agree, Hollow Mom. I don't know how I feel about plea deals. I feel like plea deals can be helpful in some situations. Now, take Gypsy Rose's plea deal. That was absolutely absurd, right? And then you take this plea deal. This plea deal saves the money of a trial, right? It saves all of that. He ended up being guilty. He's going to get life in prison. He's never getting out. You know what I mean? They didn't sentence him yet, but he ain't ever getting out, guys. And it did. It saved the money of a trial. It saved all of it. It saved the family from having to go through all of the evidence and seeing all the things. And so in this case, I don't think the plea deal was a bad idea. You know what I mean? And in this case, I don't want him to get the death penalty. So this is the Madeline Soto case, Marlisa. But in cases like Gypsy Rose or like all of like other sexual crimes, I feel like it depends on what the sentence is. It really depends on what they're sentenced with, because this man is never getting out of prison. And so I don't mind the plea deal. However, you got somebody like Gypsy Rose who kills her mother, blase, like it's no big deal. I'm out in 8 years, and that plea deal was wild. Even if they get the death penalty for it, it lasts for years. That's true. It can last for decades, Diane. You're right. But I just feel like, I don't mind the plea deal too, because now I feel like, can't they charge Jennifer? I want to see that woman charged as well. And I feel like now we don't have to wait until, because there were 2 separate trials. Now we don't have to wait until the true trials are over for her to testify. Maybe now they will go and pick them up on all of the evidence. The UK followed this case. We stood with Maddie. Yeah, this was so sad. I mean, you got the makeshift bedroom in the living room. Hold on. Do you think Stern's parents will try to monetize off of this? No. I don't know. I don't think so. They seem pretty embarrassed by him. And how are they can monetize, but they would look just as bad as him. I really don't see that happening. That's a Gypsy Rose thing. That rare, you know what I mean? I feel like I don't see them trying to make money off this. They may do an interview or two, but I really don't. He did take the plea. He pled no contest to murdering Madeline Soto, and he pled guilty to all of the other charges. D, I'm with you. I want the mother charged. That's why I'm kind of glad we don't have to wait until the trials are over. The mom is supposedly in a psychiatric hospital, maybe. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just getting that information. However, hopefully she is charged really soon, because there's no way that law enforcement can let her walk away and get away with this all scot-free, acting like she didn't know what was happening. It's wild. What's the difference between no contest and guilty? So, Jamie, difference between no contest and guilty. So, Jamie, no contest is him telling the court that I'm not admitting guilt to the murder. However, they do have enough evidence to convict me. And so I'm not saying I'm guilty or not guilty. I'm just going to take the charges, and I'm just going to take the guilty charges, but I'm not going to admit that I did it. So it's kind of an in-between guilty and not guilty. You know what I mean? It's kind of like an in-between. He's not saying he's guilty, but he's saying they have enough evidence to get him on it. Wax Boss, did the mom have something to do with it? That's awful if she did. Wax Boss, her mother absolutely did have something to do with it. So it's like an Alfred plea, yes. In other words, you know you're guilty but want a deal. Pretty much, Lala, yeah. And Wax Boss, yes, I really do believe. Look, it's not even that I believe. It's not even my opinion. Her mother absolutely did have something to do with the abuse of the child. Absolutely. I'm not saying it's my opinion. It's absolute fact that mother played a big part in that child being abused by her boyfriend and murdered by her boyfriend. That is not an opinion. That is an absolute fact. So they're and murdered by her boyfriend. That is not an opinion. That is an absolute fact. So there's that. Take that how you will. It is absolutely, without a doubt, a fact that the mother played a role in all of the abuse and the murder. I hope the state goes after the mother too. That's why I'm kind of glad that we don't have to wait for the trials. That hopefully it happens sooner than later. If she was monitoring her periods, then she definitely knew something. She absolutely knew something was going on. I mean, she sent her daughter to bed with the guy. She knew that her daughter was sleeping in the same room as the boyfriend. The fact, the whole pregnancy thing. The fact that she just ended up dying the first month she missed her period. Come on. It is on court TV. Law and Crime is covering it. Yes, Wax Boss. You'll see a lot on YT. You'll see a lot of them covering it. Really, Mama D? Oh, man, this one broke my heart. It makes me angry. Like, I get the mom emotions. Like, I'm so angry at Jennifer. She should get life. The guy is just disgusting and twisted, and I feel like there were roommates and more people knew about what was going on, too. I feel like a lot of people played a role in this. Have y'all listened to Stefan's jail calls with his parents? Mariah, I did listen to some of them, and yeah, yeah. It's disgusting. Absolutely, positively disgusting. It really is. That's it, D. I'm so mama bear angry. I feel like this girl's life, like, man, just if you look at the recordings and the video they have at her birthday party the day before she died, she just was not all there. You could see her head was somewhere else, and it's so sad for a child, man, knowing that knowing that she could be pregnant, like just all of the thoughts and emotions going through that poor kid's head, and all of like the weight of everything on her shoulders. If I tell on him, my mom's not gonna love me. Like, can you imagine what that poor girl was going through? I can't even. I can't even imagine. It makes me so angry. I feel like take these kind of men and people and put them in a room with a bunch of mama bears. Give us 5 minutes. All right? Then you'll save all of the 3 flops in a cot. You'll save all the money for that. Because we'll make sure they pay the price. It makes me so angry. Tyler's statement said Maddie was waiting to come live with him after her birthday. What if that was one reason? Yeah, so the motive, I personally believe the motive was the possible pregnancy. Because a 13-year-old is walking around pregnant, of course there's going to be CPS involved. People are going to start asking questions. Who's the baby's dad? You know what I mean? So I really feel like a pregnancy played a really big part in why she ended up dead. However, could it have been that maybe she was going to move with her biological father? Maybe she brought that up with her mother, and maybe Stephan was angry that he was going to lose his thing. You know what I mean? That was speculation, along with her having a crush on a boy. Right. There could have been just... The way Stephan spoke about Maddie today was almost like they had an acceptable relationship. It was just kind of crazy.
Hey,
Hey, did you see it? Did you watch
I
the
I did. I've missed it because I'm an hour behind, but I'm really excited for you to talk about this. I'm glad to hear a little bit more so I can become a little bit more educated on the case. So I'm just shocked that he actually spoke today. The
and the
nerve.
way he spoke was almost like he loved her, he had this relationship with her, and like people were gonna think it was acceptable. Like he was
Yeah.
speaking like he was speaking about a girlfriend.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. And that just kind of shows me what kind of person he actually is, to have the nerve to actually speak and act like he cared. And when he was the one that took her life and violated her, um, it's
Thank you,
gross.
Jasper.
Just gross. I can't believe.
And then to sit there and act like her death was like something that happened to him. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you killed her. You killed her. Let's be for real. And you're gonna sit there and act like the universe, God, took this child away from you. Like you killed her. If I could switch places with her, I would. You killed her. You could have killed yourself, but
yeah.
you
He
didn't.
played God
You
for her. He took
he,
her
he
out.
blamed God. Right? Yeah, Nellie Belly's right.
Yeah,
He actually blamed God for all of it happening.
he's a
Like, no,
narcissist
he,
too.
yeah. And the whole time, Jennifer did nothing but protect the boyfriend over the daughter the entire time. Like literally to the point where he was blaming the daughter for wanting to go sleep in the bed with Stefan, like literally putting the blame on the daughter.
I
It
put
was so
her
angry.
as bad as him. That's your child, and you just blindly you want it, like desperate, so desperate you wanted a relationship that you allowed that disgusting behavior to happen, and you put him first. You don't, she doesn't deserve to be a mother. uh, she deserves to be in prison for the rest of her life because she's as much as a predator as him.
Well, I mean, really, if you think about it, it's over, right? Like
Yeah.
she knew. She pretty much handed her daughter over to him. You are the reason this all happened. There was
Mm-hmm.
a reason you were in her period. You knew she was sexually active. You didn't question her. You didn't speak on it. You know what I mean? Like you didn't stop it. You are the reason all of this happened. She's just as at fault as he is. Absolutely.
As a mother, you're supposed to protect your child, and the it just blows my mind. This whole case, it blows my mind, and that poor little girl.
The
It's
way I see it is he's like, someone took away this child. And okay, this is what baffles my mind. He's saying that someone or something took away this child away from him that he was abusing on a daily basis. So it's like, how dare somebody take away that girl away from me because you took away that I was able to abuse her. You took away. Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Yeah, let
You
me let me
do.
add something with that. The men who do this, and I'm speaking from, I know what I'm talking about. The men who do this, they have a deep love and ownership over their victim. If you take them, you're taking their heart, you're taking their soul, you're taking their existence, their very reason for being there. They have a very sick relationship with their victim. It's an ownership. They don't understand that nobody else understands it. They truly believe in it. They believe they're entitled to it. It's true love. It is these things. And when he expressed his joy for her, it's also a way to basically brag about it, that they had something special. Um, I know this. I've seen this. And it's something that is also used to control the victim, that they pretend that they're so devoted to this child that they're in, it's hard to say, they're just devoted to this child. And so nobody can understand, like, well, they seem so close, he loved her so much, there's no way. But it's another way to control the victim, because people are going to think you're crazy. Look how much everybody sees how much I love you. And it's
Yeah.
horrible. And I'm
But what's
telling you, the mothers
crazy?
know. The mothers know.
Right, but what's crazy is if, I mean, all fingers point that he's the one that did it. Is it a possibility her mother did it? And that's why he feels something was taken from him? Like he no longer,
No.
like, it doesn't make sense. He's pled guilty to all the SA charges, but he pleaded no contest on the M charge, and he acted like, how dare somebody take her away? So, but if he didn't, it's psychological chaos is kind of going on because he wouldn't state that if he didn't feel something was taken from him. Does that make sense?
Yes, but it
I
also,
feel like he was playing a psychological game because, again, if he had pled guilty to it and he just decided to take the guilty plea, he was facing the death penalty. You know what I
yes.
mean? And if he truly meant it, I wish they would have taken me instead of you, then he wouldn't be, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like that was a game he was playing. Um, with people, I absolutely believe it was him. Do I believe the mother had played a part in it though? Yes, I really do. I believe she did.
I I think it's like narcissistic behavior too, what he displayed today. That just the nerve of him. Like he feels it's okay to talk and act like, oh, poor Madeline, I wish it was me. It's
It's
narcissism to
it's
get people on his
twisted.
side. Yeah.
It's extremely twisted in the brain, in the head for him to use those words, knowing what he did to that sweet little girl. It's
But that's
completely twisted.
but that's the thing. In his mind, it's not twisted. In his mind, he didn't plead guilty, right? That's another secret between them. In his mind,
Yeah,
not
that's true.
admitting it is something that he keeps in his mind as a bond with her that no one else will ever hear. No one else will never know. It's a way to keep her. It's a way
A
to keep
secret.
her.
Yeah. Well, I will say about tracking her period, I did that so purposely so I would not get pregnant. It shows your ovulation days, and if you're trying to get pregnant, it'll show when you're most, when you're ovulating. So I would purposely avoid those 4 to 5 days to prevent pregnancy. So I think she did it, and if he had the urge and wanted to, they would have a conversation and be like, are we safe or am I good? That's what I think it was for. It was not to see if she was regular.
I agree. I agree. That was a way to track to make sure a pregnancy didn't happen, to make sure that he stayed away from those days where she was most fertile. Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. And right there shows guilt. You knew what was happening, and if you knew that this man was taking advantage of your daughter, then you're just
And you just sat idly by and tracked it for him, basically putting her out there like, here's my daughter. Go ahead and take her.
Right,
As long
she
as
served
they
her on a
involve me.
silver platter for his demonic
Yes.
fantasies. But if the rumor is true and she checked herself in a psych ward, I think she did that on purpose to avoid any charges being filed against her. I think she may think that they may file and she was told or whatever, because when you turn yourself into any type of hospital, they can file the charges, but they can't come and get you because you are in a psychiatric facility. So if the rumor's true, I really do think she did it on purpose to avoid being arrested. She can act crazy. She can try to act crazy, unwell,
Hello.
or anything to stay there, but I think it was done purposely.
thank you, Mal, for the follow. I appreciate it. Hey, Jess.
Hi, how are you? So I've been
I'm
following you
good.
for
How are
a
you?
little, I've been watching you for a little bit, and let me just tell you something. I love true crime videos. I do. I gravitate to them, but also because I've been through a lot in my life as well, and not ever protected, but also never said anything. But I've been following this case because I do live in Florida, and I had a daughter. She was 21 when she passed away, but in my case, she passed away of asthma, health issues. But I could never imagine my daughter being taken by someone, and not just by someone, right? By someone who you're with, right? Who you're supposed to trust. But that's the problem with this world, though, right? I chose to be
Hey,
single
Jess,
for
thank you for the
18
follow.
years to raise her because of things that happened to me. I said, well, it's not going to happen to her. But these women and men today, they will put anyone before their children because they want love. Like, make it make sense as to your loneliness is more important than your own child. You have one job as a parent, one, and that is to protect them. And that woman is who I truly blame 100% because she could have protected her daughter.
Oh,
I
absolutely. And I don't even think they had much of a romantic relationship. I don't think that there was a lot going on behind closed doors, excuse me, between those two. Um, and we'll never
I
get in the
think
mind of those type of people. We can just try to process it and think, oh, try to get in their heads, but we'll never be able to think the way they do, and it's just disgusting.
But think about
I
this too,
really,
right? Because I'm sorry, Ivory. This is your show. I'm sorry.
that's okay. No. I just wanted to bounce off what you said. I really do believe I don't understand the relationship between Jennifer and Stephan because I get that she loved him, wanted him around, didn't want him to leave. But wouldn't you be jealous of your daughter then for having the man that you actually want? None of it makes sense. It's all just completely wild.
It is wild, Ivory. And what's even more wild, right, is this is what I say. I did a video on it, and I'm gonna continue doing some content on it just because it's close to home for me, right? Because I was a mom, and I was a mom who I dedicated my whole life to being a mom. I was in the foster care system. I mean, just a lot. But anyways, it is wild because for me, it's like, how is it that you're if a man looked at my daughter sideways, listen, murder, I'm going to jail. You heard? Like that's why I stay single because as my daughter was getting older, I also realized, right, she's coming into puberty. She's growing. I didn't trust men. So the idea of my daughter not being able to walk in her own home as she pleases, walk around her house and be comfortable and has to not be comfortable in her own home because a man that I'm choosing to be with, no. I'm sorry. Like your job is, I can never stress it enough. These women and men, because let's talk about her father. Where was her father in all of this? He was there in the courtroom today, and he sure had to say all this stuff how he loved his daughter, and all people who professed that they loved Madeline Soto. Where were they all when all of this was going on, though? Where?
I, I agree. I
I
completely
feel
agree. I know. Go ahead.
I was just quickly gonna say, I feel like he stayed around just for her, not the actual relationship with the mother. It was the relationship with her. So
It's disgusting.
he's one of those predators. That's why people need to be careful allowing people in your home, men and women, with children. They scope things out like this, people out like this. So
Now, he didn't live there every day, right? Or did he?
He
He
did
did.
have some. Yeah, he did. He did. He moved out at one point because they had like a fallout. But then, of course, he squeezed himself in there. But I think I said this too. She was disturbed. Obviously, she had some issues of her own because if you watch her closely, you will see she watched her every step. She watched what she said. She seemed very out of tune. I mean, her emotions were definitely not of someone who loved and cherished their child. Now, emotions are different, right? Because like I lost my daughter, and people would say, "Oh, well, you don't cry, you don't this." Well, we all go through different things, and grieving is a whole different level. But when it's something like this, and you sit there and you tell this man to lawyer up, I'm sorry, like there's a problem with that. Like, how are you
Not
telling this
even
man to lawyer up?
Not even that. She sat there and saw. The police showed her the pictures of him doing things or her doing things to him, and her reaction was not what you would have expected. I would have flipped out. I would have went crazy seeing my kid in a picture like that, and not her. She seemed like, and didn't
It's
she make a
weird.
comment something about how killing her is evil, but she made some kind of comment about how the murdering of her daughter or killing her daughter was evil. However, the abuse was not evil.
I
Like
don't.
that
I'm
right
telling
there.
you, I would love to really like
Thank you,
hear
Jennifer.
more from her because, to be honest, like it's wild because her responses are way off. Like they're not responses of a mother who had a bond and a relationship with her daughter. Like I don't know because like I don't know. My relationship with my daughter was different than a lot of parents that I do see. My siblings even said there was like, we were sometimes jealous of how close you and your daughter were. I mean, my daughter was 20 years old holding my hand in public. Like that was my girl. But I of course, I would, this one when I had to, but like she was everything. How did this mother allow this? And look at him. Didn't he look disturbed?
Honestly, he does. He look. Yes.
He looked like a
I don't want
party.
to. But he
He
looked
looked
the part.
disturbed.
Yes, absolutely.
He looked disturbed. Like, you need to look up his record, baby. You need to look up his record.
Yep.
And every woman and man should be looking up records of anyone before they introduce their children to anyone they're with. And I truly believe that if you're going to enter into a relationship with anyone, do your due diligence. Take your time before you introduce your precious cargo to someone, especially with girls, because girls, like her daughter didn't have anyone to talk to. And of course, she probably did some strange and weird things, but nobody looked into it because, oh, she's a teenager. No, no, no. When things like that happen to us, we act different. We change. Okay? It is what
Absolutely.
happens. I remember when I was watching this case and hearing
Our
about it, it brought,
lights in our eyes go out. They start to dim.
yeah, it
They
brought
really
trauma
do.
to me.
You can
Yeah.
see in her eyes in the pictures on her birthday that her lights were very dim. They were not very
She was
bright at
somewhere
all.
else.
Yes.
Mentally, she was somewhere else. She was not there at that party. And
You can,
that's what I said. You could see the weight of the world on her shoulders.
right.
It was so sad.
They say the eyes are in the window of your soul. And you can see when somebody has bright, beautiful eyes, and you can see someone that the lights are out or they're dimming. I mean, if you really look at people and pay attention, you'll see it. It's not hard to see. I can see it in strangers that they're just either depressed, they're not happy, maybe it's addiction. You can truly see it in somebody's eyes. And when I seen that little girl's eyes on her birthday party and that fake smile, you can tell that smile was fake. It was forced. It just makes your heart break. And as a mother, you should be able to see the you gave birth to that child.
Of
That child
course.
has so much light in their eyes as a child growing up. You know the difference of when their lights are starting to dim. You see it absolutely.
And 13
Yeah.
is such a hard age too. It's hard.
That is the worst age. It was really hard. You know, you're feeling like I'm a teenager, but I'm not. I'm a kid still. You're in that in between emotionally.
Right. And her
Um,
hormones were probably raging too, and then she had that on top of it to deal with. I can't imagine what that little girl went through. And I know this isn't by popular opinion, but with everything she went through, she's at peace now. She doesn't have
yeah.
to be scared every day. Like, you do understand what I'm not saying that she's
You want
she's
this,
do you understand
when no,
without saying like she deserves to be where she's at? But I'd
right.
rather
At
take
least she's
that
not being
than to
abused when nobody knows and
yes,
having to deal with all of that by herself. I
right,
understand that.
right.
I
And
do.
Ivory, oh, sorry.
You know what I find really odd is that it wasn't just Maddie that he was doing things to. I mean, you had the roommates taking nude pictures and photographs and being a peeping Tom to the roommates. Like, there's no way pictures and photographs and being a peeping Tom to the roommates. Like, there's no way Jennifer didn't know he had a problem.
Well, that's the thing, Ivory, is that unfortunately, well, that's the thing, Ivory, is that unfortunately, these people don't just do it to one. They've just gotten away with it, right? And I wanted to say one more
Yeah.
thing to you, Ivory, that I know people are going to try to silence you. And I know that they're going to try to always stop you from speaking your truth and from sharing these information. But never stop, because people only want to stop what they know is to be true. Okay? And people don't want the truth. People want to live in a fantasy world, and we don't live in a fantasy world. We live in a wicked society, and it's people like you who talk about these things. It's no different than TV, right? It's no different than
Yeah.
TV, and they get backlash. We just don't hear about it, right? But what
Right.
you're doing, speaking out, I commend you, because it's not easy. You know, having a platform where you're welcome, where you share all these things and you putting yourself out there, right? You're putting your emotions out there. You know, you sleep this, you breathe it. You know, but your reason for doing this, even when you talk about Gypsy, you're not doing this to cause them harm or hurt. You're just bringing
No,
awareness,
no.
and I think that's what people need to realize. And listen, people who don't like to hear about these things, well, then you know what? Don't put yourself out there.
There you go.
Point blank,
That's
period.
the
Don't
truth.
put yourself out there, and you wouldn't talk about it. Okay, but this
You
is
know,
a platform.
I will
There you
say,
go. Thank you. I
if we
appreciate
were
that.
allowed, if the public and especially mama bears were allowed to take care of the sick pedos and take care of it ourselves, even the men are just as much against it as women. If we were to take it in our own hands, I think there would be less of them roaming this earth because they'd be too
Oh,
afraid
that's
of getting caught and being taken care of right on the spot. But they're protected. They're protected by the justice systems. And the person wasn't protected, and it's sad. Like, even if you unalive somebody, you still have protection by the government because, you know, you can't do as unto others as you have done to them, you know? And I think if we were allowed to take actions into our own hands, we would have less murderers, pedos, all of it.
You know,
You
they
know?
say
I mean,
they say it takes a village to raise children, and it does take a village. Okay,
it
it's
does.
not. It's not. Oh, that's my child. But if you see something, say something. If you feel it, then do something. Right? Because here's the thing. It's so sad that children are not able to confide, and they're not believed, which is insane to me. At least do the investigation. Even if they are lying or making it up or whatever, right? Because people, the kids, they watch TV. Parents are letting their kids watch TV that's not even age appropriate. They're letting them play these games, all these things, right? And I think as parents, we need to be aware of what our children are watching, who their friends are, who their parents are. Like my daughter, listen, if there was a man that lived in our house, my daughter was not allowed in your house. I don't care. It just wasn't because I have to, if you drink, my daughter wasn't in your house because how are you watching my daughter if you're getting drunk? You can't protect her. So there's a lot that goes into raising children, and it's not an easy task. But gosh darn it, do it. You know what I'm saying? Raise your children, even if it's single. Do it because make sure they're fine. There's so many like Madeline Soto, and it breaks my heart because she's not the only one, right?
No,
But
no,
she's not the only case. There's so many
no.
Madeline Sotos out there with pathetic mothers like her. Because that woman's pathetic. I'm sorry.
Right. It happens every day on a daily with these young girls, you know, even young boys that are being, you know, murdered and assaulted. Like, but it just hasn't hit the news or social media. But there's so many out there that deserve the awareness, and it's like, back in the day before the 2000s hit, we didn't hear stories like this very often. The only time we heard about it is if it came up on the news. So I do believe this has been going on for many, many, many years. It's just we're able to reach out to each other and to reach so many different people to hear about it. But this has been going on for so long. But now, due to social media, we're able to help each other out and become that village for the people that are going through it.
Absolutely. Donna just said in the comments, look at the dad that protected his daughter, and right now he's sitting behind bars because he took the law into his own hands, is what I'm going to assume she's going to finish with. But exactly. You know what I mean? Like, when parents do protect them, and now he's the one sitting behind bars, that's absolutely wild.
Right.
But you know what?
No one's allowed.
At least he protected his daughter.
That's the
Right.
justice.
I would rather be in jail because I protected mine before I let somebody walk off scot-free. I'll sit in jail. I'm gonna sit in jail, but let me tell you something. One
potential
day I will
others.
tell my story, and one day I will get the justice. But Madeline Soto's mother wasn't even in court today. I don't care if that woman's in a psych ward. I don't care where she at. Let me tell you something. I would have gotten out that psych ward and I would have been in court today. You understand me? I would have looked at that man in his face and I would have said, I'm sorry that I allowed such a monster in our lives. I would have had
Yeah.
so much to say to him. Let me tell you something. I would have made it happen one way or another. I would have looked ragged and crazy and whatever. I don't care. But that man would have saw my face. It speaks volumes and it says a lot. The fact that that woman was not there. And I watched it from the beginning to the end. Okay. And I did not see that woman nowhere near that court. Okay.
I think it's because she didn't do it because she knew that if she
Pathetic.
said anything that Steven or Stefan or whatever would look at her and be like, you're full of shit. How are you going to be able
Not
to
even
say
that.
all these things when you
What
literally
was she
handed
gonna
her to
say?
me?
What was she gonna say? You abused my daughter. Yeah, with your permission, you literally handed her over to me. You killed my daughter. Again, with your help. I mean, what could she have said?
But at least she would have set. At least she would have set the stage. At least.
If you
At
were
least.
if you were a mother, you would have said, "Man, I didn't realize what I was doing was,
Right.
allowing this to happen." Say something
Say
because it's
something,
just
but you
showing
said
that
nothing. Ivory, she said
yeah,
nothing. That's worse than
nothing. I
saying
agree.
something.
Oh, I agree. Saying nothing spoke volumes. Said all we needed to know about who she was and how guilty she is. Absolutely.
My thing is, what could she say? Because she was just as much as involved. If she said, how dare you do this to my daughter? She couldn't say, how dare you? Because she allowed them to sleep in the same room with locks on the door. I mean, common sense. You never let I don't care what age your child is, female or male, you don't allow your child to sleep with a boyfriend or a stepdad, plain and simple.
So I'll share a
Before,
story with you guys. My daughter's father and I, we tried to do the whole family thing, right? My daughter really wanted her father, and so I tried it. I tried it. I knew it wasn't going to work, but I tried it because she wanted the family thing. And every child wants their parents together. Let's be real. Let's be honest. That is the absolute truth. So I did. My daughter was 6 years old, and I decided, okay, let's do it, right? And so he moved in. Now, she always slept with me, but now he's moving in and she has to sleep in her own room. Now that was rough for the both of us. It was hard for not just my daughter, but it was hard for me. But even though that was her father, you can't sleep in the same bed that I'm having relations with. Okay, it's not. There's nothing normal about that. So she was all upset, and he would try to. She would come to the room, and we would take her to her bed every night because she would try to come into bed. And I was like, no, Angie, you gotta sleep in your own bed, whatever. And so one night he put her in our bed, and I woke up in the morning and I was like, what? He was like, well, she couldn't see. I was like, listen, she's not the boss. She does not run this show. Eventually she will get used to not sleeping in the bed. So me and her had a whole conversation. Now, yeah, she was 6 years old. I don't care. You understand yes and no. You understand right and wrong. So we're going to have this conversation. I said, listen, Angelina, two adult people, man and woman, you can't sleep with us. It's not normal. It's not healthy, mama. You gotta sleep in your own bed. You have your own room. You got a beautiful bed. There's nothing wrong with you sleeping in your room. It's not cruel. Because she was like, you're so mean. I was like, I'll be mean. One day you'll understand, but right now you just won't because you're 6. And it worked.
yeah.
But then we broke up, and she was all mad about that. But I don't care because he was he was not doing what was right. So I kicked him out.
Right.
And she came back and slept with me, and it was fine after that. But you have to, it's this whole thing of parents saying well, they don't want to sleep by themselves. You know what? They'll get used to it. Because
See, with me, I allowed my kids to fall asleep with their father and I. And then once they fell asleep, I would put them in their own bed. I had all 3 of my girls were co-sleepers. Like we were their comfort. But as soon as they fell asleep, we would put them in their own bed. But if they grew up in that atmosphere, from the time they were born, and that's what they're used to and comfort, that's what I did. And I may be wrong for it, but as soon as they fell asleep, we put them right in their own bed. But if it's not something they knew from the beginning and it's new to them, then absolutely not, because it would make all 3 of us uncomfortable. Like if you've never
and you're
slept
fine for that. Those were your kids together. And while they were my daughter and his daughter together, my daughter didn't grow up with him. And now she's 6 years old, and I needed her to know the difference, because I taught my daughter about her body parts and all that stuff, right? So I just needed it was for me. You're definitely a great mom. Trust that. because your kids were used to that. That's different. I'm talking about when I was changing the dynamics in my household, and now he's coming in. I had
Right,
to
and
do
I
that. Just
agree with
like,
you on that. That's what I was saying. If it's a new thing, then I completely agree because it makes not only you uncomfortable, but has to make the dad uncomfortable. Even though it comforts the child, it's just
I feel like you always have to do whatever you have to do to protect your kids. Now, me, my husband, not all of my children belong to my husband now. Before I married my husband, when I was dating, my number one rule with my children was I have one son, I have nine daughters. I always had a lot more
wow.
girls than boys. I always knew that if I was dating, that was going to be an issue because, men hear little girls. So my rule, I always kept that in the back of my head that I have to do whatever I have to do to protect my children. When I met men, they didn't know how many children I have. They didn't know how many daughters I have. I wouldn't tell them. My husband, I dated him so long before I told my husband how many children I had, how many girls versus boys. He had no idea because I didn't give him that information. If we get to that point where you want to continue a serious relationship, that's when I will tell you, and then I will proceed with caution. Now we're sitting here, we're married. Again, not all of the kids in my home are his, and nobody sleeps in our bed. Nobody's allowed to walk into our room. My husband will not wear his pajamas downstairs. My husband will get fully dressed and walk the second he walks out of my room, our bedroom. He doesn't walk around without a shirt on unless he's swimming. Um, and there are just certain rules that he, as a man, understands. Like they're not my children, and though I love them like they are, you know what I mean. I have to give respect to
My
everybody involved, and so those are rules that I didn't even have to set up. That my husband knew just to take. That
yeah,
I'm not going to walk shirtless in front of a bunch of daughters that aren't mine, or even my own. My youngest with him is 8 years old.
that's
And
the
see, Ivory,
same with
that's the thing.
my
When people are
that's
healthy, and I'm sorry,
that's
go.
okay. That's the same with my husband. Like he doesn't wear, and it's okay if you do, but like we teach our sons, like you put your clothes on, you keep your clothes on, even with our little boys. Um, my husband doesn't walk around in his underwear. He puts on his basketball shorts and a t-shirt when he gets up in the morning. And the same with my son, my oldest. He's the same way. He puts on his basketball shorts and his t-shirt to come out because it's just how it is. And then, yeah, I don't know. I feel like, especially if it was with girls, like my dad never walked around like that. We never walked around with no shirt, or anything like that. So, um, and my dad wasn't weird or anything. It's just he had the respect for us and we had respect for ourselves not to do that as well.
Yeah.
I
right.
think
Yeah.
normal people see it that way. I think normal people will never see it as a problem. It's the ones that are not normal thinking, right? Like when my daughter turned, I think she was like 11, 12 years old. Now she's in puberty, full blown puberty, right? And I had to sit down with her grandpa and and some of the close men in our family, and she was no longer allowed to sit on their laps. Now this was another big issue that my daughter made because again she didn't understand. But I'm sorry, you're getting to an age now where sitting on grandpa's lap is not appropriate anymore. And for some people they might look cross-eyed and say, oh, well, no, there is a problem. She's now 11, 12 years old. She, body parts are growing. She's has a period. I'm sorry, no. And I had to sit down again and have this long talk with my daughter. Did she finally understand? Yes. I even showed her some videos because I needed to her to understand that it's not that they're gross or disgusting, but it's also to protect everyone involved, right? Because
But it's so
Right.
sad that we have to break their innocence. What they see is so. I'm just loving on my grandparent because I love them, and it's so sad to be like, even though it needs to happen, be like, okay, you're too grown now. Like things change and this is the way it has to be. And sometimes we have to teach that to kids really, really young. And it's just heartbreaking that the world has created this such dark place of you now have to be very protective of yourself, that you can no longer be too loving or too, whatever. Now you have to take a step back because a grown man can take it the wrong way. It's just very, very disheartening.
Well,
Like
But
I,
my
I
there
mom,
don't
my
was a
think
mom
it's
wrote.
teacher.
necessarily destroying innocence because I think, you raise your children with their parents, their grandparents, whatever. We have 6 adopted children. Ours is a little different. My husband's always been, fully dressed, extremely appropriate. Um, Loves our children to pieces. We have 9, we have a lot. We have 6 that are adopted. Um, he's always just been super appropriate. I let my children be as comfortable as they are. We meet them where they're at. All of my children, and that includes biological children. My grown 26-year-old daughter, who's still very much a daddy's girl, will jump on his back and, like daddy, dad. And it's not something that's inappropriate. You let your children meet the adult where the child is comfortable. I think that's better. I mean, in a lot of cases, if you know your family, you know how they work, and
Oh, I
I don't think it's
absolutely
necessarily
agree.
stealing an innocence of a child or trying to beat the innocence out of them by saying this could happen with your grandpa or what. I don't think it's necessarily that. Your child knows what's comfortable, what's not,
You know what
and
I
your
think it
child's going to
is, and I
show you
think
what's
you're right.
comfortable.
You're right. I
That's
have trauma.
Oh, I'm the same way. I'm meeting you right there.
So I
Okay,
think that's
I
what
am
I
that
think
a
girl.
lot was my trauma, and like I
I
kind
was
of
just
tapped
gonna
out
say
to my
that. I think the
daughter.
ones that have been essayed in their younger years, you automatically have that thought in your head that there's a
that's
That's
potential.
the
probably
first place your mind
Yes,
goes
it's
to
there. Like,
child. Yeah.
okay, if it happened to me, you have to be very cautious of this person or that. It doesn't matter, who it is. It could happen. And that's your way of protecting your child. Not that it's right or that it's wrong, but you will do anything to protect your child to ever go through that. But if you've never gone through that, that will never enter your mind. You need to
Right.
protect
you
your
know what's
child
scary these
from those.
days too is a teacher in another district here was taking pictures of students and putting them on AI to do
Wait, what?
yes, and he got out on bond, and he didn't yeah, and they didn't report it for a couple months, the superintendent, and he got charged as well, but it was a slap on the wrist. So he took 14 children's photos and put their faces on AI and had them do inappropriate things, these middle school kids. So that's another thing,
Oh my
parents need
gosh.
to be weary of is the technology that we have now and the things that they can do with
That
that.
is just so sad. Like nothing ever be safe anymore. Like
Sam, I
the
think
most
that's a really good
innocent
point.
things can be turned into the most like
Oh, heinous.
provocative and sexual things. And they're just being kids, just getting their picture taken, and then their faces being put on something that it's just so disgusting to me, and it's so heartbreaking because if I would have known what I know now, I probably wouldn't have had kids. Because it is way worse now because you do have the internet, you have AI, you have kids, you know, if you do send nudes with a boyfriend of yours, if you've been together for a while, and if you break up, he uses those nudes and sends it to, everybody. It ruins your life. And we didn't have that back when I was a teenager. We didn't even take pictures of ourselves in that type of way to give them for a keepsake. We just didn't do that. And now everything you do, even if you don't do any wrong and be provocative or anything like that, they could still use your face in that way that can destroy your life.
Yes, and that's the sad reality with, this Madeline Soto case. I think it opens up parents' eyes to, bringing people in your home, men and women, unfortunately. Mary Kay Letourneau, for example, was a woman, but also, there are predators out there, and they look for these single moms with young kids, and they look for the ones maybe that have low self-esteem, looking for a man, wanting to build a family, um, and then their children are, can be violated. And now look, this example of Madeline Soto, she was unfortunately murdered as well because of a predator. He was a predator,
You gotta
and
wonder if he didn't
her
prey
mother's a
on Jennifer
predator.
as well.
Yeah.
You gotta wonder if he didn't prey on Jennifer as well, knowing that she needed that man or was in love with him, knowing he didn't feel the same way, but use the fact that you're loving me, thank you so much, guys, thank you. Knowing that she loved him, and he used that to get to the daughter as well and try and manipulate her into thinking it's acceptable to have the daughter there for him as well. It's just the whole
Right. I
thing.
think they prey on the ones that don't have a strong relationship with their biological father. Because if there's a strong relationship between the child and their father, it makes it harder for them to ease their way in there, because most girl or boys won't allow an outsider to try to take over. They have their parent, and that's their parent. So I think that the ones that don't have that structure of the other parent in the home, it makes it easier for the predators to do what they want.
Well, and I'm curious if the mother's father, her father, Madeline's mother's father, is in the picture as well. If that played a part by allowing this man so easily into the home, because she didn't have a father. She doesn't know what a relationship is supposed to look like, maybe, or and she thought, hey, that's normal because she never had a dad. I don't know.
Yeah.
Does anybody
You
know?
gotta wonder what so I believe her father is around.
Okay.
I don't know what their actual relationship is like though. You know what I mean? You just don't know what people go through when they're younger, what kind of life Jennifer Soto had. However, is that really an excuse? Because I feel like if I had this really messed up relationship with my own father, wouldn't that make me want to become the parent that gives better to my child?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Sometimes I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, if there was maybe for her, she didn't care the stakes, and it might have been, what do I look like? What's my perception from the outside world? I'll let this man violate my daughter, but at least the outside world is looking at it as, oh, I have a great family. Look at my family,
I
and
have this
trying to keep up with the
man.
Joneses.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really sad. First of all, how any parent can put any other adult before a child that depends on you for its sole survival up until the age of 18, that's too real. How any parent can put an adult's needs before the needs of their child. Just, you don't deserve a child at that
You
point.
don't.
There
Absolutely
has to
not.
have been some other red flags in her parenting. This isn't the only one. You don't just wake up one day and decide, you know what, I'm going to hit this guy before my kid. There has to be some kind of history of that child almost being used by them. I mean, there's got to be a history there, I feel like.
Ivory, did she have more kids or was that her only child? Because that's
No,
what I don't know.
I think she was the only kid. Madeline's her only child,
So that
right?
also can play a part too, right? She's never really had any other experiences, right? And this was her only
Right.
child, so she didn't. Maybe she. I mean, we're just. I guess it's everything, right? It's the whole picture of everything, right? And who knows her life story, because we all have one, right? But if this was her only daughter, would she have been able to see the signs? Was she mentally able to see them, and was she even strong enough to get out of it? Because who knows how he was manipulating her, right? Because was he
Right.
manipulating the both of them?
That's
It's
what I'm
it,
saying.
there's a lot to this story that needs to be uncovered, and it'll be nice to hear her whole side, right? Because if that was her only daughter, and I was a mom of just one as well, but because I went through so much trauma in my life before having her, I was so self-aware, and maybe I was a little more aware than what I needed to be, but I was, I was tainted, right?
Overprotective. Mm-hmm.
But like with her, it's like who knows, right? Especially having one child, you don't have the experience, Then somebody who has 2, 3, 4, 5 children, you get all this experience. Right. You learn, you live, and you learn, and every kid teaches you something new. But with
I
one
will
child,
say people that are parents that are overprotective came from parents that were underprotected, that they didn't protect us enough, which makes us, when we become parents, very overprotective and more aware of the outside than others, because unfortunately something's happened in our lives that's made us more aware.
Absolutely. It could be as little as me being bullied in school and being hyper aware of my son coming home and I still do it. Is everybody being nice to you? Are you sure? Is anybody, being mean or saying anything? What would make you feel better and confident at school? It goes to that too. I mean, it's really anything from being experiencing it to trying to prevent that for your own child.
right? So was she so like, that she didn't experience a lot of this stuff? Was she not able to see it? Not saying that it's right or wrong. It's the whole dynamic of it, right? It's was anybody talking to her, to the mom? Was anybody really like being real brutally honest with her and saying, hey, listen, this and that? Or did she become closed off that she didn't want, she couldn't fathom that could not happen. And she thought it was normal. Was it normal? Because this guy was in her life since her daughter was little. Was it normal for them to sleep together? To us, it's not. To me, absolutely not normal. The door's locked, not normal. But to her, was it normal? Because what is normal to me may not be normal to you, It's just, it's different.
To one extent, we think that normal has to stop. At some point, that normal became abnormal. Right? And then she had to have known that normal, what she considers to be normal, extended to an abnormal. And I feel like her behaviors and her reactions to everything just showed that she knew that at some extent that normal crossed over and it became abnormal.
She knew it was not okay. There came a point in what was going on that she thought, okay, this is not normal. This is not okay. But she still went through with it, and she allowed it. But there's no way on God's green earth that it didn't hit her at one point in time that she thought to herself, okay, this is not okay. Now she had a choice to go with it or put a stop to it. She chose to go with it and not put a stop to it. Any human being knows there's a limit to anything in life, that that, okay, it's gone too far. This is not okay. Any human being. We all have a conscience. We know what right from wrong,
I think she knew that it became abnormal, and she was trying to convince herself maybe that, trying to accept it. You know what I mean? Trying to give excuses on why it was normal. I don't know. Either way, she is absolutely responsible and needs to be there as well. Any way you look at it. I don't know that there are very many excuses that she can pull off that would be acceptable to her behavior with her daughter.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Ivory, because that's what I say. At the end of the day, we have one job and one job to do, and that is to protect our children at any cost, at every cost. And when we feel like something's not right, then we have to step in. And to me, like I said, all the family and friends that suspected something and said nothing and did nothing, they too are going to have a hard time sleeping as well, because I see this time and time again where things like this could have been prevented. I think about the Gabriel story. I think about all these children the Gabriel story. Let me just tell you.
That
I
story
know we're
broke
talking
my
about
heart.
Stephan, but that one right there,
That
could
one
all these,
was a miscarriage of justice. Yes.
all these kids being murdered could have been prevented, but they weren't. They weren't. They
Yeah.
weren't protected, and it baffles my mind as to. And then they want to sit here and talk about, well, we saw the signs. You did. Oh, you did, and
You
you
didn't
did
speak
what?
up.
Nothing.
We need to do a better job as a society to protect our children. Your child is my child. My child is her child. We need to do a better job as a society to protect the children ultimately.
And what I'm wondering
We're failing the
is
children.
any of Madeline's friends, parents maybe suspected something. You know, like I had a best friend that I hung out with all the time, and I think her mother would have suspected maybe a change in me with this, not just the typical preteen, but a change. Or did teachers notice, or did she confide it, you know? Unfortunately for me, I had a best friend confide that into me at a young age, and I didn't know what to do. So I'm wondering if also, you know, if anybody noticed a change and then they go, oh my gosh, that's what it was too.
Right. And if
Yeah.
we do notice that change, it's like a double-edged sword, because if we notice it and we bring it about, like, and it's not happening, and, you know, what's the signs aren't what we're thinking, you know, we're looked down upon like, oh my gosh, how could you ever think of something like that? You know, when we're just trying to help. So I think that's why a lot of people don't speak up, because just in case they are wrong, it'll just backfire, and then that person that speaks up is looked down upon when they're just trying to help. But I have a real quick question, Ivory. In the case,
Yeah.
it was a 3-bedroom house or apartment or condo, right?
Was it 3 or 4?
Yeah, I think it was 3 or 4. I could be wrong, but either Stephen had his own room or Jen would go into another room because she had trouble sleeping, or she worked the night shift or something. She would use another room to sleep.
He had his own bedroom. They had roommates, you know, at times different roommates. He had a bedroom. And then Madeline had a makeshift bedroom in the living room. So, yeah, he had a bedroom upstairs, the one with all the bolts and locks on it. And that's where she sent Madeline that night to go upstairs with him. His room.
Like, okay, so they had roommates, and the roommates never seen anything.
Yes, so he was taking pictures, new pictures, and spying on the roommates. The one roommate spoke today during the court appearance today for the police.
No.
And she spoke and said, you took nude pictures of me. I was also violated. So what he did to Madeline was not the only go around. Now, I don't know what happened as far as charges, or if they just found that while looking for the evidence for Madeline, or if there was something going on at the time. However, yeah, he was doing it to the roommates as well, as far as pictures and stuff like that.
Were they female or male?
Female.
Wow. Wow.
He's a
I
sick
often
individual.
wonder if he's ever done anything like this before to anybody else. They just never had the courage to speak up.
That's what I'm saying. And Jennifer had to have known. Listen, me and my husband, we don't hide anything. We don't sit there and search each other's phones. However, we also don't hide anything. So my husband knows anytime I may pick up his phone to, I don't know, text a kid if I can't find mine, or for whatever reason I pick up his phone. You mean to tell me you never picked up your boyfriend's phone and saw naked pictures of your kid, or your kid going down on him, or naked pictures of the roommate? Like, come on. It's just wild.
I never thought of that, but that makes total sense. Why? I mean, I pick up my husband's phone and look. You know, if I saw something like that, I would be freaked out, for one, calling the cops for two. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Sorry.
She's not an innocent bystander. She's not innocent in any of
Far
this.
from it. She may have not have done the act, but she is just as responsible of it. Like
If not more.
Yes, it's like the
Because it
gypsy
wouldn't have
thing.
happened
Gypsy
without
may have
her.
not actually done it, but she provided the
She was the
steps
reason.
and the weapon to do it. So Jennifer is just as guilty as Stephen because she provided everything he needed to do what he wanted to do, you know?
Yeah.
I hate to talk about Gypsy Rose, but this is why people like Gypsy Rose are never going to live a happy life. They're never going to be truly content because at the end of the day, until you omit and you are open and honest with yourself and you can look in that mirror and honestly say to yourself, what sort of person am I? And when you can absolutely say that with 100% and admit who you are, you don't got to admit it to the world. But when you can look at that mirror and you can say, who am I? Who truly am I? Then nobody on the internet or in the world can say anything about you. But when you come out the way she did and she wants it to be famous, always has been, let me tell you something. That girl's always wanted this life. Okay, she's the one that conspired all this. Her and her mother, they worked together. They worked together. Okay, they were a duo dynamic. The only thing her mother didn't realize was that she was gonna off her so that she can have the spotlight all to herself. And that is just the truth. I'm not speaking anything that's not the truth. I'm a 46-year-old smart woman. I ain't no dummy. Mama ain't raised no dummy, okay? And you can see that it's writing on the wall. And that's why she can't even do clapbacks because her clapbacks are not because she's not honest. And that's why people like Ivory and the other girl that talks about her, they speak facts. And she doesn't like that. And then her minions want to come and defend her. But in reality, what are y'all defending? Because you don't even know her either. You don't know her. None of us really know her. But what I do know is that her mother plotted all of this stuff. Yep. The only thing that wasn't planned was that the mom was going to get murdered. Okay. And that was all on Gypsy's hands. And Gypsy's a smart girl. She knew what she was doing. But let me tell you something. I'm not here to play God. God will take care of her. Because as he will everyone, we can get away with things in man's eyes. But in God's eyes, let me tell you something. He sees and knows everything. And it's him who's going to have the real laugh at the end.
Right. Whatever happens in darkness will always come to light. And eventually, the light's going to be shined so bright on the whole Gypsy Rose thing that nobody's going to be able to deny it or defend it. There's just no way. Absolutely no way. And I will say, somebody that cannot admit or apologize for their own wrongdoings, because a lot of people go to prison every day for different charges, different, scenarios, different cases, even, a lot of murderers do repent. They really do feel bad, especially if it's not meant out of cold blood. But if you can't admit your wrongdoing, you're a very dangerous person, not to society. Like, you cannot be trusted by anybody, not with your children, not with your parents, because you don't have that light bulb on.
Let me tell you something.
I think that, with the Gypsy Rose thing, and this is me personally, this does not affect any of you, but for me personally, we've gone over the case so many times, everything, and she's the type, it doesn't matter if it's good attention or bad attention, it's attention. So for me personally, I don't want to continue speaking on her because I'm hoping eventually she'll go away because she is not going to have this type of good or bad attention here soon. That's, unfortunately, that's the justice. Yes.
Yep. Right now it's just about clout to make money, and ultimately she just needs, whether it's good or bad, to stay in the public eye. Look at her book. You would think that you would be embarrassed putting a book out like that. She had no shame. She had no shame in her game at all. As long as she was put out there and her name was out there and it gave some people something to talk about, people there and less.
Yeah, because the media already formed their opinion. I don't believe there's anything that will make them go, you know what, we got that wrong. Now, if she reoffended, I hope she doesn't, but if she did, maybe at that point, they might go, oh, okay, we'll look back into this. But the best thing is, and this is me, not anybody else. You guys do you, but because I'm not trying to offend any, but is to back away and watch her. Just know, people are going to start going, okay, we know all about this case, and I'm going to back away slowly and not, because she's not going to go away. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
She won't
This is
go
the
away.
thing with Gypsy. I don't want nothing bad for nobody. I'm a lover, not a hater at all. I never want anything bad on nobody. I just I hate that, because it shows a lack of humility, right? Like, she came out of prison and came straight on social media, did the Lifetime thing. I mean, Ken Urker, that man is worthless as far as I'm concerned. You sit there and you took a woman that was legally married, okay? You should have stayed in your lane. Her mother, her stepmother can go in the trash where she belongs with her. I can't, besides the stepsister, because she got a little bit of sense, but it's like they all monetize off of Gypsy too. And it's just sad because it's like, where were y'all? Because Gypsy talks about how they were not there for her when she was in prison.
Because they didn't care. Nobody cared until there was a capability of making money off the situation.
And Ken Urker, the only reason why he's with her is for the fame and all that. I'm sorry, but you sat there, and I would never be with a murderer. I'm sorry. Like, what? Me be with a murderer? No, I'm good. Because I don't know if I'm going to go to sleep and wake up in the
Who rests
morning.
their head on the chest? Yeah, no. No, who sleeps next to somebody with their own mother's life? It's wild. Cass in the chat just said, Ivory, I have a question. Do you think the haters, like myself, are keeping her blood money running? Yes and no. I feel like all of us who give her attention, we do help keep her name out there, even though we're trying to do it for awareness. I feel like at some point, her name is going to be out there, so why not make sure that people are aware of the true story? However, I do feel like her name is starting to die down, and the more we keep it going, then the more, yes, we are going to keep the blood money going.
Why do you think she comes off and goes on the app? There's a reason. Let me tell you something. Yeah. She ain't no dummy, okay? There's a reason why she does that. And this is the thing, whether we talk about her, whether we don't talk about her, listen, people are interested. People are going to follow her no matter what, whether you talk about her or not. I mean, the girl has almost 1 million followers, okay? And she follows what, like 30 people, because she's all that in a bag of chips, okay? Now, that's another thing for me. If you follow, I don't care who you are. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't care who you are. If you have over 20,000 people following, and you're only following 20 people, to me, it says you're selfish. Because why wouldn't you want to follow those people that truly are following you because they truly like you? Because to me, it's saying, I don't care about none of y'all. And it's like, do you guys not care that she doesn't follow any of you guys? Does that not say something? Does that not speak volumes? Because you're not better than me. You know what I'm saying? You're not. And I'm not going to follow people who don't feel like I'm worth following too. If I'm following you, I'm supporting your page and I'm doing all the things, why are you not doing all the things for me? Because that makes sense. I'm here to help you grow. I'm supporting your page because I like your page, because I like what you're promoting, what you're talking about. But if I see that you're just doing it just to be monetized, like, okay, I get it, I respect it, but I'm not gonna support you because you're not authentic. You're not doing it for how you first started. You know what I'm saying? But most creators like yourself, Ivory, are we're different. We're not like that. But people like her and so many, even like with the whole Stephan case, how many are really doing it to bring awareness, and how many are going to do it just to monetize? Because it's one thing to monetize off of somebody, but it's another thing to bring true awareness, right? There's a difference. You talk about true crimes. You don't talk about just one creator. You talk about different things. And obviously, you stayed on the Gypsy thing for a little bit longer. Why? Because there was a lot to talk about. There's a lot to uncover. Right. By the way, I love your videos. I don't know how you do it and how you edit them because, I mean, you keep me glued, okay? And not many people can do that, but I'd be like, oh, what is she going to say next? And what's the next video?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
You be having me stuck, okay? You be having me stuck. I'll be stuck. I'll be like, dang, this girl came on here like, okay, period. I'm listening. I'm here. I'm invested.
Thank you.
And when I saw you on
yeah,
live, I was like, oh, I got to watch her for sure. I love you. I love what you do, and I want you to continue doing it. I do gotta go because I work tonight. I work third shift, so I gotta get me some sleepies. Okay, but
absolutely.
thank you for letting me come on your panel.
Absolutely.
And I can't wait.
Anytime.
You're gonna do a video on the whole Stephan thing, right?
I absolutely am. You know they're coming.
All right. You have a wonderful day, and God bless you and your whole entire family, girl. Keep shining.
You too. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good day. Bye, girls.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. On that note, it's 5 o'clock. My husband just got home from work a little early, so I'm gonna go say my hellos to him. Guys, I will be on this evening, probably about 9 Eastern time. If you guys are here and you're watching, don't forget to give a follow. I appreciate you all, guys. We reached 113,000 likes for this live. Thank you all for doing that. Thank you all for the heart knees. Sam, Pam, Jazz, Harry was up here. Everybody who's up here, thank you all so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for the heart knees. To my mods out down in the chat, thank you guys so much for keeping the chat safe and clean. I appreciate you all. And guys, again, I'll be back on probably about 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. I just wanted to hop on and let you guys know what happened with the Soto case. So guys, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you guys later.